Are you sure you know how to drive this thing? The businessman in the back seat laughed as Mike carefully merged onto the freeway. The old man didn't answer, just adjusted his rear-view mirror the way he used to adjust his heads-up display. What the passenger couldn't see was that Mike was scanning for threats with the same precision that once kept him alive at 30,000 feet. Welcome to the Human Stories. Before we begin this powerful story of misjudgment, courage, and recognition, tell me in the comments what city you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this need to be remembered, hit that subscribe button. These stories matter. Mike Sullivan woke up at 5 a.m. every morning. Old habit. For 30 years, he'd woken up without an alarm, and now, at 63, his body still operated on military time. He'd drink his black coffee in the kitchen of his small apartment, watching Chicago's streets come alive through the window. On the windowsill, where no one could see it, sat a faded photograph. 8 young pilots standing in front of their F-16s, smiling in the desert sun. Mike was second from the left, 32 years old, with eyes that hadn't yet learned to carry weight. Now he wore thick glasses, moved slowly, and approached everything with excessive caution. He drove for Uber because his retirement pension wasn't enough to live in Chicago, and because it was better than being home alone. That morning, he was waiting at Illinois Airport. The Uber queue at the terminal was long, but Mike wasn't in a hurry. He never was. His car was clean but old, a Toyota Camry. The AC worked, the radio played quiet jazz, and there were always water bottles and tissues in the back seat. Attention to detail had once saved his life. "Mike? Uber?" He looked up. A man in a business suit was approaching, talking on his phone, dragging his suitcase. Middle-aged, confident, hurried. The typical businessman who'd flown into Chicago for work. "Yes, sir. Mr. Harrison?" "Yes, we're going downtown, Willis Tower, and I'm running late." Mike took the luggage, placed it carefully. The man got in the back seat and continued his phone conversation. Mike fastened his seatbelt, checked his mirrors, and slowly left the terminal. "Jesus, can't you go any faster? If we sit at every traffic light like this, we won't get there until this afternoon." Mike didn't respond, just changed lanes safely. Old habit. Every movement intentional, every decision calculated. Once, a wrong move meant missiles. Now it just meant an Uber rating, but habits die hard. "Are you sure you know how to drive this thing?" Harrison asked with a laugh. Mike adjusted his rearview mirror. Once, this movement was to check for enemy aircraft, now just to observe his passenger. Harrison had that familiar arrogance in his eyes. Mike had seen it before. He knew what people thought when they looked at him. Old, slow, finished. "I've been driving for over 30 years, sir," Mike said calmly. "On highways? Because right now, you're going 15 under the limit." Mike glanced at the speedometer. 55 miles per hour. He thought about the days when he flew at Mach 2, twice the speed of sound. But now, even 55 miles per hour seems slow to Harrison. "Safe driving, sir." Harrison returned to his phone. "Tell Johnson we'll be 15 minutes late. Driver doesn't seem to know the roads." Mike said nothing, just continued changing lanes carefully. His eyes were constantly moving. Windshield, side mirrors, rear view, old pilot reflexes. Constant scanning, constant assessment, threat analysis. As they approached the city, traffic got heavier. Mike stayed calm, but Harrison's impatience grew. "Why aren't you taking that lane? It's faster." "That lane usually stops, sir. This route is more consistent." "Are you a pilot or something?" "Route. Just drive." Pilot. The word tightened something in Mike's chest. 30 years. 127 missions, 3 Purple Hearts, 1 Distinguished Flying Cross. And now he was taking orders to just drive. When they reached Lakeshore Drive, Mike noticed something. He had no headset, but he could hear a sound, a very familiar sound. Helicopter rotors. But not normal helicopter sound. This was tense, fast, emergency sound. He checked his mirrors again, scanned the sky. Habit. "What are you doing? Why do you keep stopping?" Harrison complained. "Sorry, sir." Mike continued driving, but his ears were still tracking that sound. He had air traffic control background. He could tell aircraft type, fuel status, even pilot stress from sounds. This sound was bad. His phone rang. Harrison answered. "Yes." "What?" "You're kidding." "Which airport?" Okay, keep me posted." He hung up. Mike saw the expression on Harrison's face in the rearview mirror. Worry. "Everything all right, sir? There's some aircraft problem at O'Hare. Emergency landing." Mike's hand tightened on the steering wheel. That sound. Now he understood. Distress call rotors. Search and rescue helicopters. Any word on what type of aircraft? Harrison looked at him strangely. "What difference does it make? Why are you asking?" Mike was about to answer when the radio activated. Emergency broadcast. "Attention. United Flight 1247 departing from O'Hare Airport will make an emergency landing due to engine failure. There are 180 passengers and 6 crew members on board. All emergency units have been alerted." Harrison's face went pale. "Jesus, 180 people." Mike turned off the radio, but his mind started working. Flight 1247, Boeing 737. Engine failure, probably single engine. Fuel status could be critical. Wind conditions, runway configuration at O'Hare. "Sir, do you have any emergency situation? Anyone in the family?" No, just 180 people, you know." Mike hesitated. Could he tell Harrison the truth? His 30 years of military aviation background?
127 combat missions?
That night he survived engine failure over Iraq? Just general knowledge. But then something happened. Harrison's phone rang, and this time the conversation was different. "Hello? Mom, yes, I heard." "No, I'm in Chicago." "Which flight were you on?" "What? 1247? Mike's blood ran cold. Harrison's mother was on that plane. "Mom, stay calm. Everything will be okay." "Yes, I know you're scared." "No, the cell phone won't work soon." The line went dead. Harrison stared at his phone, his face completely white. His hands were shaking. "My mom is on that plane." Mike lifted his foot off the brake pedal. For the first time that day, he accelerated. "Which seat was she in?" "What?" "Your mother. Which seat was she sitting in?" "I don't know. Why does it matter?" Mike quickly changed lanes. He no longer cared about Harrison's complaints. In his mind, he was visualizing the aircraft. 737 configuration, emergency procedures, safest seats. "Sir, we need to go to O'Hare." "What?" "No, I have to get to my meeting." Mike looked at Harrison in the rearview mirror. This time there was something different in his eyes. Authority, command. "Sir, your mother is at risk, not your meeting." Harrison was quiet for a moment, then slowly nodded. Yes, you're right. Go to O'Hare." Mike made a U-turn, but this time he wasn't careful. This time he was calculated but fast. He was reading traffic with pilot eyes. He could see gaps, predict other drivers' movements. "I've never seen you drive like this before," Harrison murmured. "Emergency is different, sir." Driving to O'Hare, Mike remembered his old training. Crisis management, calm under pressure, breaking bad news to families. He had too much experience. Your mother has professional pilots. If there's engine failure, there are standard procedures. Single-engine landing is a routine procedure. How do you know these things? Mike paused. There was no point in hiding anymore. "I used to be a pilot. Air Force." Harrison looked up. "You're kidding." "No, sir. 30 years. F-16 fighter pilot." "You were a combat pilot?" "Iraq, Afghanistan. 3 tours." Harrison's mouth fell open. "Why are you driving Uber?" "Retirement pension isn't enough. And," Mike hesitated, "it's better than being home alone." Silence fell over the car. Harrison was looking at his phone. Mike was focused on driving. But the atmosphere had changed. There was no longer an old, slow Uber driver. Now there was Captain Mike Sullivan. As they approached O'Hare, in the parking lot, Mike left the car and ran to the terminal with Harrison. At the security checkpoint, Mike stopped. "Sir, this is as far as we go. There's ID control." "But I'm former Air Force, trust me." Mike approached the security officer, showed his ID. "Captain Sullivan, retired Air Force. This gentleman's mother is on Flight 1247. Is observation access possible?" The security officer looked at Mike's ID, then at Harrison. "Wait here." A few minutes later, he came back. Sir, emergency supervisor will give you an escort. Going upstairs, Harrison looked at Mike. Thank you, really, thank you. I haven't done anything yet, sir. No, you have. You're different. I didn't notice before. On the observation deck, they could see the aircraft in the distance. Approaching, descending, but it looked controlled. Mike had a small radio in his hand. The security officer had given it to him. United 1247, you are cleared for landing runway 10R. Emergency vehicles standing by. Roger Tower. Single engine approach. We have it under control. Mike turned to Harrison. Do you hear that? We have it under control. Pilot is confident. Good sign. Really? Really? If it were dangerous, the voice tone would be different. The aircraft approached the runway. Mike squinted, making a professional assessment. Approach angle good. Speed appropriate. Landing gear down and locked. Touchdown. Perfect. The aircraft landed safely. Emergency vehicles escorted it. Harrison laughed through tears. They did it. Mike smiled. I told you, professional pilots. As they went downstairs, passengers were starting to come out of the terminal. Harrison was looking for his mother. Mike, can I ask you something? Sure, sir. You're really a hero. Why don't you tell anyone? Mike thought. Because being a hero isn't about telling. It's about doing. And I did what I did. Now I'm just an Uber driver. No, you're not just an Uber driver. That night, when Mike returned home, there was a message on his phone. From Harrison. Mike, today, you didn't teach me how to be a pilot. You taught me how to be human. My mom is safe. 5 stars, always. Thank you, Captain. Mike looked at the photograph. 8 young pilots in front of F-16s. Then he looked out the window at Chicago's night lights. The next morning, he woke up at 5 a.m. again. But this time he wasn't just a former pilot. He was still Captain Sullivan, just on a different mission. Welcome to the Human Stories. If this story touched you, subscribe and share. We need to keep remembering these silent heroes. They live among us. We just need to know how to notice them. Now I ask you, have you ever encountered someone like Harrison did? Misjudged someone only to later learn their real story? Write their names in the comments, share their stories. Because sometimes real heroes don't wear uniforms. Sometimes they drive Uber.